Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leela and I love to read queer, trans, and feminist literature. And my favorite activity other than reading is roller skating and listening to Chappell Roan. So today I thought that it would be fun to give you book recommendations based on Chappell Roan songs. So we're gonna do the full rise and fall of a Midwest princess and then the more recent singles. So track one is Femininomenon. What? Femininomenon? So for this song, I would recommend Rebel Girl by Kathleen Hanna. This is her memoir and one of, in my opinion, the best books of all time. It came out last year and I actually went to the release in Brooklyn with my girlfriend for my birthday present from my mom, which was really special. So this is the story of Kathleen Hanna's experience as a leader in the Riot Grrrl movement, which, if you're not familiar, is a feminist punk movement typically associated with the third wave of feminism in the 90s, and the origin of the term girl power. That term originated in a Bikini Kill zine. Bikini Kill is Kathleen Hanna's band. And I loved this book so much. I found it so inspiring, and one thing that really stays with me from my experience reading this book is that the art that Kathleen Hanna made and the Riot Grrrl movement did not arise from a feminist utopia. They arose from need and struggle. And so when I'm experiencing struggle and I'm looking to the world and I'm seeing the need for revolution, girl style now and forever, I can really look to Kathleen Hanna's life work and the Riot Grrrl movement in general as an example of how girls can and will and have and do change the world. I love this book so much. I love Kathleen Hanna. I highly recommend. Kind of an original femininomenon. Next, we have Red Wine Supernova, and I actually chose two books for this one. So first, focusing on the lyrics, she put her canine teeth in the side of my neck. We have Thirst. This is a literary fiction novel translated from Spanish, and it is one of the hottest and best books I have ever read. It is a lesbian, bisexual vampire story, which deals with death and sex and trauma and feminism. Highly recommend. Then if we focus on the nominal Red Wine Supernova, I'd recommend Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austen. This is another lesbian literary fiction novel, and in it the protagonist has a lot of sort of casual lesbian sex, so I'm thinking, why don't you come over? And the protagonist is obsessed with facts about outer space. So we have the full lyric, baby, why don't you come over, Red Wine Supernova. Okay, next for After Midnight, I'd recommend Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars by Kai Cheng Tom, subtitle A Dangerous Trans Girl's Confabulous Memoir. This is, again, one of my favorite books of all time. It is a fabulous, so kind of magic realist, dreamy, fairy tale-esque novel about a trans girl who joins a girl gang. There are mermaids, there are metaphors for trauma. It's really exciting and one of my favorite books of all time. Next, for coffee, I chose Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. I guess I was thinking, like, do you take milk with your coffee? And this is a lesbian literary fiction novel with a magical realist element where the protagonist, who is an anorexic secular Jew, manifests via Gollum, her sort of fantasy lover, and the two of them have a love affair. Melissa Broder is my literary mother, and this is also one of my favorite books of all time. Next, for casual, we have Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. The music video for Casual has a mermaid ocean theme, which is relevant to this book because the premise of the story is focused on a trauma that occurred under the ocean. This is a lesbian literary fiction novel about a married lesbian couple, one of whom went missing undersea and resurfaced traumatized. And there are horror elements in this story as to how that trauma is manifesting physically and emotionally in their relationship. And I really love this book because I think it's the most realist representation of a long-term lesbian relationship that I've ever encountered in a literary form. Like, these women are married, they're in a long-term relationship. It is not a romance, but it is, in my opinion, very romantic how they move together through this challenge. And so I'm really grateful for that representation, and I really loved this book. Okay, next for Super graphic, ultra modern girl, we have literally my absolute favorite book of all time, The One, Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl by Andrea Lawler. Oh my god, I love this book. It is a fabulous magical realist literary novel about a magical fairy being called Paul who can change their body at will according to their desired gender expression. I love the characters in this book so much. I love Jane, I love Diane, I love the settings. Paul basically, through their different relationships, experiences different queer subcultures of America. And so this is literally my favorite book of all time, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. And shout out to my girlfriend Alessandra, because they went and got this book signed for me at an event that Andrea Lawler did in Brooklyn when I wasn't able to make it. So that is really special to me. Thank you so much, Allie. Okay, next for Hot to Go, we have what may, in my opinion, be the best book of all time, and that is Mrs. S by Kay Patrick. So this book takes place during a heat wave. Hot. And oh my god, it is a story of lesbian longing, or sort of trans lesbian longing, and it is extremely hot. There is also, what I really love about this book, a true love, butch for butch bromance between the protagonist and their friend, and I love that so much. Oh my god, I love this book. I love the setting. It is set at a girls' boarding school in England, and there's a really strong rose motif. I actually saw Kay Patrick interview Sarah Schulman before I read this book, and I was really charmed by them and that experience. And then one of my neighbors actually left this on the sidewalk for me to discover last summer, and my girlfriend and I both read it, and it was both of our favorite books of the year, and I truly think that it may be the best book ever written. I personally visualize Mrs. S as Helena from The L Word. Anyway, this book is so drippingly hot. This book is so good. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Next, for My Kink is Karma, we have Girlhood by Melissa Febos. This one's actually also signed. Thank you, Melissa Febos. In this book of personal essays, Melissa Febos processes her experience working as a professional dominatrix in New York City and reflects on healing from the traumas of patriarchy. Her writing is so brilliant and explores some really profound themes in a really beautiful and I'd say stunning way. So that is my recommendation for My Kink is Karma. Okay, so next for Picture You, I was thinking especially of the line, "Am I doing research in a miniskirt at the library in your hometown?" And that evoked for me Plain Bad Heroines by Emily Danforth. I love this book. It is like a decadent treat. Oh my god, I love this story. Pretty much every character is a lesbian, and it takes place in this very gothic setting of a cursed New England boarding school. One of the characters is a writer, so if you want something to really sink your teeth into and devour, I feel like this is the perfect book for that. It is just so delicious. Next, for Kaleidoscope, I would recommend The Fifth Wound by Aurora Mattia. This book is very kaleidoscopic and, like the song Kaleidoscope, dealing with themes of heartbreak. It is a very beautiful, shimmery, sparkly story and poetic piece as well. Next, for Pink Pony Club, I recommend Reverse Cowgirl by Mackenzie Wark. Mackenzie Wark is an icon, and this is one of her memoirs. It explores transness, sexuality, and it is electrifying. So I highly recommend Reverse Cowgirl. Next, for Naked in Manhattan, I recommend Chelsea Girls by Eileen Miles. This is a lesbian classic, and reading it saved my life. I don't have the physical copy because I read it from the library, but when I met Eileen Miles, I told them, like a nerd, that Chelsea Girls saved my life, and they signed this book, The New Fuck You Adventures in Lesbian Reading, for me. So thank you, Eileen Miles. Original lesbian icon. For California, I recommend Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. I listened to the audiobook of this one, and I felt that it was fitting because, like, the song California recounts experiencing a sense of failure in California, so too does Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn, in which the protagonist is a writer who has been lightly canceled while she's a lesbian herself. Something that she said was deemed offensive to the queer community more generally, and so this book is her sort of redemption arc. I found this to be a very fun read. Okay, next for a guilty pleasure, which is actually one of my favorite songs on the album, I recommend An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This book feels like the perfect guilty pleasure reading to me. It is a sort of Carmilla retelling. It has a sort of erotic romance style, and it's about lesbian vampires at a women's college in New England, centered around a poetry workshop, and it is very gothic and very fun. So now on to the more recent singles. For Good Luck Babe, we have Diket by Jenny Fran Davis. And while Good Luck Babe, I think, is addressing a queer object who has chosen a heteronormative life, this one kind of explores homonormativity. Our protagonist is a young lesbian who is a little bit obsessed with marriage, but doesn't necessarily know how to express that deeper desire authentically. This is a really fun queer literary fiction novel. I got mine signed by Jenny Fran Davis in such a serendipitous experience. When I went to pick up this book from the Strand on release day, I ran into her doing a photo shoot, and then she told me that there was an event there that night, so I went and met her, and that was a really magical moment. And Jenny Fran Davis herself actually recently just got married, so congratulations, Jenny. And finally, for The Giver, we have How to Fuck Like a Girl by Vera Blossom. This was one of my favorite books of all time. It is so magical. I absolutely love Vera Blossom's aesthetic and language and magical world that she creates. This is personal essays about her experience. It explores themes of transness, witchcraft, radical politics. It is the best. And it's published by Dopamine through Semiotext. So I love that so much. I highly recommend this book. So those are my book recommendations based on Chappell Roan songs. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, comment a sparkly heart emoji to let me know that you made it to the end. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.